My goodness, what an up and down season it's been. And the Chiefs are Super Bowl champs, third time in 5 years, second straight year, winning Super Bowl 58 on Sunday night, 25-22 in OT over the San Francisco 49ers. And all season long, we've been joined by Kendall Gammon. We've talked about the highs and the lows. And frankly, throughout the season, the lows felt lower than the highs. But here we are once again, top of the mountain. And Kendall Gammon is joining us on KCMO Talk Radio, and it's brought to you by Xfinity, the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Kendall, react. The floor is yours, my friend.
Wow. You described it very well, because this is a season that you did not expect. If there's ever been a season you didn't expect it was this one, in my estimation. And you mentioned it. High highs, low lows, but in general, I think this comes down to a team that's led the right way in Big Red, Andy Reid, the head coach, and then have players like Patrick Mahomes. And you and I talked about it. Anytime you have that combination, you have a puncher's chance. And that, along with the defense, I don't know. It's a different way. They don't give style points, and it wasn't pretty until the end. But when it comes down to it, you're ahead 3, and you get your back-to-back championship. It's just phenomenal.
You know, I think to last night's game, and you know this as a long snapper for many years in the league, special teams oftentimes makes all the difference in the world, and the 49ers have that missed extra point that changed the outcome at the end. The Chiefs only needed a field goal to force OT. And then, of course, the muff punt that really set up the Chiefs' first touchdown and kind of got that thing moving in the right direction for the offense. That part of the game a lot of people don't think about. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I think you asked me about it on Friday, and I told you I didn't know much. I didn't think there was much of an advantage, but it was the hidden part of the game, and you're exactly right. It made the difference, and wow. It's just amazing. They found a way to piece it together one way or the other. And I'm going to keep saying it. It just wasn't pretty, and I think everybody would admit as such. But when it comes down to it, when you turn the ball over in special teams, those are such big changes of field position. And then you're right, blocking that extra point, just a huge deal. And then let's remember Butker, a Super Bowl record 57-yard field goal. That's no easy task, and he actually hit that ball low. So it's amazing. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, you do. Now, you look at that game last night, and you just wondered when Patrick Mahomes was going to have his moment, and he, of course, started to do it. What is it about this guy? He's trailed by double digits, right, in every Super Bowl, I believe it is, at halftime. So when you look at that, the comeback once again, is it just these guys trusting him? What is it like in that locker room when you're trailing a big game by 10 points, but you've been there, done that?
Yeah, I think it is. You described it exactly. So you've got to trust in something to feel like you've got a chance, and it's hard not to trust in Mahomes considering what he's done in his career already. So, yeah, that's a big deal. And really, I felt good after the first half. Because the fact is the Niners absolutely dominated the first half, Pete, yet they're only up 1 touchdown. So in my mind, the Chiefs escaped a little bit there when they just weren't playing their best football, and they get into that second half, and I mean, it was still a dogfight, but they could have been put out of it, quite honestly, early in the first half, but they didn't. So, again, kudos, and I think the fact that you adjust a little bit at halftime, both Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, and do some things. And when it comes down to it, you've got the best QB on the planet, the best QB ever to play the game, skills-wise. I know he doesn't have these many Super Bowls as Tom Brady, but skills-wise and what he does, it cannot be matched by anybody.
When you look at the defense, you mentioned it there, Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, no one's going to ever put this defense up there with the 85 Bears or even, some of what we've seen maybe during the Patriots years. But here's a defense that if you scored 20 points on them, Kendall, that was a big deal. And they maybe don't have the superstar outside of Chris Jones, but just how good was this unit, and how much should we think back and look back on this year and not just think about Patrick Mahomes, but also think about Steve Spagnuolo and that side of the ball?
Well, ultimately, you think back as the defense is the strength, and the fact that The Chiefs don't win if they don't have the defense. And I don't just mean last night's game, but the fact is they don't get into the playoffs if it's not for the defense. So the defense carried them this year. And you mentioned, not a lot of stars with the exception of Chris Jones. And Chris Jones made a huge impact last night. Not the fact that he I don't even remember. I'm looking here. I don't know if he got any sacks or not. But the thing that made the difference for him was 2 or 3 different times he made Brock Purdy rush the ball when he had somebody open down the field. And he really made a difference in that side of it. And you can't say enough about him and what he's done, considering how he started this season, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but is that the last we saw of Chris Jones in a Chiefs uniform?
Yeah, I think probably so. I think that's too bad. I think you've got to make some tough decisions, and I think they would like to for the right price, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I think you have to decide between him and L'Jarius Sneed, and I think L'Jarius, many people think, is one of the best corners in the game, alongside obviously Trent McDuffie, though. So that's the one part of the NFL that it is tough. It's hard to assemble a team of stars because ultimately you can't pay them all.
Yeah. I heard this conversation happening in different circles late last night, early this morning. Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls. He trails Joe Montana by 1. But are his 3 more impressive given the state of the league, the salary cap, and things of that nature? Now that we can have that conversation, where do you think he stacks up at this point?
Well, first of all, I think that is a fair statement. It is a different game these days because of the salary cap, and you can't control as many players as you used to be able to. He stacks up as good as anybody. I mean, skills-wise, I think Joe, I think Tom Brady, I think Aikman, probably not, because Aikman he just doesn't seem to buy into things with what's going on, but Mahomes and what he does and how he does it, he has redefined the position in my estimation. And because of that, I think he's already the greatest of all time. He was already a first ballot Hall of Famer. This just continues to add to the lore. And this is a guy that all he wants to do is win. I mean, it's bigger than probably we even understand. This guy has an insatiable thirst to be the best. And when you have that, ultimately, just through osmosis, it transmits to everybody around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kendall, it's been a heck of a season. It's always great to have you on. And thanks for joining us again for the ride. 2 straight Super Bowls. Let's try to make it 3.
That sounds good. Thanks, Pete. It's been a great year.
It has been. Kendall Gammon, great guy, awesome conversations each and every Friday and Monday here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.